The Think Institute.
Can you share with us some memorable experiences you've had in defending the faith and using apologetics? Yes, I can. I want to tell you about an experience I had on the L train in the city of Chicago. The L is the elevated train that goes throughout the neighborhoods in the city and through downtown. When we were living in the city, I had a really interesting experience. I'll tell you about it. Okay. Here is what happened when I was on the train. And I actually do have notes for this. I'm going to read this to you. A while back, I was on the L train in Chicago, and I heard two young ladies talking about one of their boyfriends and what he believed about God. I heard the girls say that they believed in a higher power, but not necessarily God. Now, here's the thing. Those L trains get pretty packed, and I was in the middle of the train. They were towards the exit, and I hear this conversation going. So I actually prayed that God would send someone to those two girls to tell them about Jesus. And if possible, that he would use me to do it, although I couldn't see how we could do it because there was like 15 people in between me and these two young ladies. So a few stops later, the people on the car had shifted, and I found that the two ladies were now practically right next to me. So I prayed for the right words, and I waited a few minutes, and then I interjected myself into their conversation, and I asked them this. I said, "Excuse me, sorry to interrupt, and I hope I don't offend you by asking this question, but I couldn't help but overhear you both say that you don't necessarily believe in God, but you believe in a higher power. Is that right?" And they both said, "Yes, that is right," and that they weren't offended. So I continued by asking them what they thought God or the higher power was like. And one of them said, it might be like a giant bubble. And the other said, maybe it's like a black hole. So I asked them whether they thought we could ever know the truth about God. And one said she was doubtful, and the other one said she would need to have a personal experience, evidence, proof. So I said, yeah, it sounds like you really want evidence and proof. She said, yes, that is what I want to see. So we talked a little bit more about whether they thought we could ever know God. And finally, I asked them the question. I said, so if I said that I do know him, I do know God, would you believe me, or would you think that I was crazy? And that second girl said, again, she said, I would need to see proof. And so I told her this. I said, here's the thing about proof. Basically, it's having enough evidence to make a conclusive decision, right? They agreed. I said, the idea of proof assumes that we have five senses that allow us to make sense of the world, that the world is able to make sense to our minds, and that it also assumes that our minds are designed to seek after the truth. Have you ever thought about that? And they were both really taken aback at this. The second young lady said, wow, now I'm going to be thinking about that my whole way home. Now remember, I started talking with them because they had already been talking about God. The Holy Spirit had put that curiosity in their mind and then had given me the opportunity, against all odds, to be able to share with them about God's design and truth. And I would consider this sort of like a pre-evangelism apologetics discussion. They were talking about God. They had some false conceptions, and I was able to point them in the right direction by using a little bit of presuppositional apologetics and showing them that even what they were already saying that they believed only made sense if our minds were designed by God and aimed at truth. So that was really fun. The Holy Spirit gave me that opportunity. That was great.